I knew I wanted to be in politics. I went to Little Adrian College, got my degree in political science. I was student body president for 3 years at Adrian, met my bride there at Adrian, and we landed in Lansing. I ran for county commissioner right out of college. I lost my first 2 races for county commissioner, and the third time I won. So the third time really is the charm. And I got elected county commissioner in Ingham County in 1990. I served 8 years on the county commission. I was a legislative aide. That's a part-time job, of course. So I was a legislative aide under Speaker Dodak and Speaker Owen, Gary Owen, and then I worked for Senator Jim Berryman as a legislative aide, and then I was elected to the House in 2000 following Ling Brewer, and I was elected to the Senate in 2002. And then I was elected mayor in 2005 on my second try. I'm now in my 5th year as mayor of Lansing. I never planned to be a mayor. Mayor seemed, when I was studying politics, mayor seemed like a problematic position. Unlike the legislative positions where issues come and go. I read books about mayors. You know, I heard about LaGuardia and other mayors, and they were heroic figures, but they were also tragic figures. You know, it seemed like basically the only way out of the mayor's job, it was sort of a career killer. It seemed like the only way out was death or indictment. And so mayor was not something that I really, as a student of politics, was very interested in. But it just so happened that it came up, and I felt I really answered the call when I ran for mayor. I saw we had Dave Hollister as mayor of Lansing, very active, very vibrant, take charge kind of guy, and I worried about the direction that Lansing was going. I felt that Lansing was drifting a bit, and that's really why I ran for mayor, not because I thought it was a great career move. And it's been a phenomenal thing, and it really has rounded me out. Kind of political and from a career standpoint. It's matured me. There's more gray, less hair altogether and more gray. Some of you know how that goes. But I'm really glad to have done it, because with the legislative jobs, I mean, you get a chance to make a difference, you weigh in on things, but with mayor as CEO of the city, we really, you know, the buck does stop with you. I mean, we have a strong mayor form of government, so while I have a Jerry Ambrose, I really do run the city. I'm the CEO, so, and it's a tough job, and I've been dealt some real challenges as mayor. Never did I dream we'd be living through the bankruptcy of General Motors in my town, on my watch, so to speak, as mayor. And that led me to a whole new level of advocacy. You know, when you take these jobs, sort of like an association presidency, you know, you have what the charter says is your job, and then you have what really comes up, what comes along, what needs to be done. And when GM was facing bankruptcy, there was a great deal of uncertainty, as you know, and we didn't know what was going to happen. And I knew my #1 job as mayor was to step up and make sure that those plants stayed up and running. Those new plants that we've got, those great plants where we make the Cadillac CTS at the Lansing Grand River plant, and the Lansing Delta plant where we make the GMC Acadia and the Enclave and soon the Traverse. But there was so much in doubt, and I began to advocate for it. And when the whole thing was happening, George Bush was president, and we weren't sure what was going to happen. And I called up the U.S. Conference of Mayors. We belong to the U.S. Conference of Mayors in the city of Lansing, and we pay some hefty dues there. And I said, look, I need a meeting of automotive cities. I need a meeting of mayors of automotive cities so we can get together and compare notes and get ready to fight for our communities. And I sort of got, you know, a dead line on the other end. And I kept calling, and Manny Diaz was president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the mayor of Miami, and I was calling for him, and I couldn't get through. And, you know, I guess in Miami they're not that concerned about car making, but here in Michigan it's a big issue. And so I ended up pulling my membership in the U.S. Conference of Mayors and starting my own association, the Mayors and Municipalities Automotive Coalition. I just want you to know what you're dealing with. This is the kind of guy I am. If I don't get results, I don't just go away. I don't just fade out. I move on to the next thing. I'll find another way to get at it. And so we formed our own association. We have representatives in Washington. We've been to Washington several times now. I think we've had an impact. This administration understands that we need to look after automotive communities. We can't just leave them behind. We're very fortunate in Lansing to have growth, to be adding shifts at our GM plants. Many communities are being devastated by the closures and the downsizing and the right-sizing that's taking place in the automotive industry. So I think we've gotten a new level of attention and respect in Washington Washington toward automotive communities. There is an auto communities recovery czar, Ed Montgomery, specifically, and we asked for that, specifically designated to look out for automotive communities. There's a manufacturing czar, Ron Bloom. These things didn't exist when we started our association. These are the type of things that we were fighting for. So it wasn't really in my job description, but I've been making it happen, and that's when you might have seen me on Fox or CNN. That's when, because I took to the airwaves when they called and asked about automotive communities and manufacturing and working people. I'm not going to shirk. I'm not going to shirk from answering the call and standing up for working people. The Michigan, I'll close and take your questions. You know, we have a tremendous challenge right now in Michigan. I believe that we're in the fight of our lives. I think this is Michigan's 11th hour. And Wall Street has basically written us off. Wall Street is redlined Michigan, and they've redlined manufacturing. And there are those that say we should give up on manufacturing. There are those that say that's in the past. I don't believe that. I know what our manufacturing facilities look like. I know what they're capable of. I've been to a few other countries and seen their facilities. I was in Korea. I toured one of the newest Hyundai plants in Korea. And I'm here to tell you, they have absolutely nothing on us. They have nothing on us. They put their pants on one leg at a time. You know, they have a break room. Their line isn't moving any faster than our line. So this notion that you hear about, that the American worker needs to become more productive, more competitive, what are they really talking about? We make great vehicles. And so they've put in motion a race to the bottom. Wall Street has redlined Michigan. I've been told point blank over a year ago that as far as they're concerned, there's 49 states in the union. That's what we're fighting, folks. That's what we're fighting. We're fighting Wall Street and sometimes Washington and their notions of Michigan and their notions about industry. We have the best industry, the most productive people in the world in Michigan, and I will fight for them every day. And we need a governor who will stand up and fight every day for Michigan. The Michigan I grew up in was a Michigan that was at the top of every list. The Michigan I grew up in, whether you're talking about education, industry, arts, culture, environment, Michigan was at the top of every good list. And it wasn't all political. When you talked about the environment, Democrats and Republicans understood the importance of the environment in a state like Michigan, surrounded by the Great Lakes, the dunes, all that. It was Democrat and Republican agreed, our beautiful state park system. Our education system was the envy of the country, if not the world, both K-12 and higher ed. And you could say Michigan anywhere, and you could take a Michigan degree anywhere and command respect. You could go anywhere in the country or world and say Michigan with pride, and people would sit up and pay attention, because Michigan was a serious state with serious industry, serious business to be taken seriously. Today, Michigan is at the top of some very bad lists. I don't have to tell you. Unemployment, home foreclosure, U-Haul one-way trips. I saw an article the other day. Number one for U-Haul one-way trips out of state. This is unacceptable, and it doesn't have to happen. I don't accept it. I'm ready to fight it, and that's why I'm running for governor. I could stay like mayor. I've got a good job, but I feel a little bit like the guy in the engine room on a ship that's headed in the wrong direction. No matter how good a job I'm doing in the engine room, if the ship's headed toward the iceberg, we're in trouble. I want to get my hands on the steering. That's why I'm running for governor. I think we can do better. I don't accept a minimalist view of Michigan. I don't accept that our children and grandchildren must and will enjoy a lesser quality of life and fewer opportunities than we had. I don't accept it. I don't believe it. We are Michigan. We are capable. If we're waiting for Wall Street or waiting for Washington to fix it, then we're in trouble. And I'm not going to sit in the engine room and wait and hope that things get better. I'm ready to move up, and I'm ready to fight like hell to put Michigan back on top.